And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 265 of The China Show, the real China Show. We are really happy to see you here today.
There's another China show. I won't say it by name.
It's a fake one.
Yeah, I saw it. I was at a hotel.
Yeah.
It's on TV. Mm-hmm. I got so excited because of the
like the China
commercial
show.
break. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says, it was on like main TV, right?
Yeah.
It goes, after the break, we'll take you back to the China show. And I was like, whoa, we did it. Wait a minute, we're not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
And it comes on, it was just a bunch of like stock tickers about
It's
China, basically.
boring, yeah.
Shout out to 265, episode 265.
Yes.
That is the country code for Malawi. So shout out in the chat or in the comments if you are from Malawi. Props to you. We know we have watchers from all and listeners from all over the
Yep,
world.
quite close to home.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, today we have so much to cover. It's insane.
It's a big one.
So many things have happened in China in this past week. So we're just going to have to get right into it. What do you say?
Before we get right into it, I do want to break down a couple things.
Okay.
People have been reaching out, and we're actually surprised that the title and the thumbnail were not about the Chinese visa thing, the whole Trump thing that happened, Rubio and all that stuff. We are covering that in depth in
Yes.
this episode.
Yes, absolutely.
So for the people that didn't realize that, because it's not like in the thumbnail, it is in the title. Get it out. Get the word out to your friends. We will be covering that live today.
Yeah, we're covering
we'll break
the
it
whole
down.
visa situation. There's a big student revolt that's just happened in China.
Big one.
Massive explosion. We've got a funny slopaganda for you today. Everything.
It's probably, in terms of content, the most content we've ever covered.
Anyway, let's get into it. So we're sauntering right into it with What's New. So What's News, where we talk about everything that's new, specifically with regards to China. And this was yesterday. So I'd like you to all take note of what this man discovered. Where is it, in Jiangsu?
I don't know, actually, this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I made a note. Either way,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
Yes.
This guy discovered that there was a printer as part of the road. Take a look.
Why?
I mean, this is Chinese construction.
This is true.
By
This
any
is
means.
tofu drag.
Yeah. So instead of using bricks and rocks and whatever they were supposed to use,
You hear
stones.
about like the BRICS program? That's
Yeah,
it's
that's-
more like the used
Yeah.
printer program.
Yeah, exactly. After they finish printing money, they like take the pen. You know.
Because it's fake money.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
it. I get it.
Anyway.
You deserve a badoomts for that one. Come
Okay.
on.
All right. Where even is
fake
that?
money. BRICS is fake money.
There we go. Did that even work? I hope so.
Probably.
Yeah. So anyway, you can see there are actually cracks in the road though because of the printer, which is quite ridiculous. Let me just go back.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's a bollard.
Yeah, there is a bollard.
Oh, what's
Sorry.
new again? We get to see what's new. Fresh
Yeah,
what's new.
sorry about
Nice.
that, guys.
That's
You know,
all right.
just if we look above where this printer is, which is part of the structure of the road, see the crack?
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to use a plastic printer as
What? Is it cheaper? Yeah, because it's free, right? It's a
Yeah.
recycled printer,
it'll
right?
be e-waste. Yeah,
So you probably do have quite a few instances of e-waste in roads.
just anything really, corn
Yes,
cobs.
yes.
You know,
That's-
like
no, they did
yeah,
find that.
they
yeah.
found like old
Yeah.
Coke bottles and things. You know,
Yes.
whatever.
Bottles and bones.
Yes, exactly.
An old plastic lid.
Yes,
Half-eaten sandwich.
that's true. Yes, everything.
大家仔细看，
Got
我相
interesting.
信我们眼里好的。
All right, now this hits close to home. Both of us have been here a lot. This is the Hunan Daqiao.
Yeah, if you drive through Canton, so
Yeah.
Guangdong,
So if
in
you're
the south of
driving,
China,
yeah.
you have to go on this bridge.
If you want to get to Zhuhai from Shenzhen,
Yep.
unless you take the ferry, you're going over this bridge.
Yes, because I used to go to Macau all the
Yeah,
time. See
yeah.
my
So
wife.
Zhuhai and Macau, and this is a nightmare. Most of the time, this bridge is just chock full, and you will wait hours.
I've been in it for 3 hours
Yeah.
on one bridge, just on the bridge part.
Yeah, I drove from Shenzhen to Guangzhou once, and not even getting onto the bridge, but you know, like before the bridge, there's always a massive traffic jam, and it was. I can't remember, at least 3 or 4 hours. People were playing badminton on the side of the
You
road,
always see the
playing
bad men
cards.
eating instant noodles.
Yeah, exactly,
somehow.
because, I don't know, they just can't move. Anyway, there's a segment here which you can quite clearly see where it just abruptly ends.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, somebody wasn't paying attention and drove right off of there. and 5 people apparently died, which is tragic. But what's more tragic is it took them 10 days to release an official statement.
Because they wouldn't, but so many people brought it up.
Yeah, because like it happened on the 19th.
Yeah.
No word.
No.
And like people died, but they didn't want to say anything about it. 10 days later.
If they can cover it up, they will.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
the rule.
they would not release the statement if there isn't enough pressure from people like, hey, listen, my family went over the edge or whatever. So then, oh, fine. 29th, they released the statement, which you can see above.
Well, because they were about to break at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Anyway.
I do want to just cap that one off by saying China's kind of like an extreme sports video game. You know, like where you just want to like ramp off something.
Sure.
That's like half of China's infrastructure.
Yeah.
People are ramping off cliffs. Remember that one with the...
Yeah.
That was bad.
It was terrible, yeah. So this is a bot farm, guys. Take a look.
You could probably turn it down a little.
Yeah, I'll turn it down. You can see those are just cell phones. What they'll get is they'll get a bunch of really cheap old secondhand cell phones. As long as it's smartphone capable, you can install apps on it. They install like a custom version of Android on these things, which is just there to bots. And you can see they're actually connected. Each one of them is connected to a network patch panel over there.
Yeah.
So they're just, you can see the activity lights when I play. Watch. Each one of those phones is running multiple accounts. So it'll have multiple apps on it. So it'll be, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, specifically X, all these different things. And it's spamming whatever that it's been told to spam.
See the comments, those don't matter. I put that up there because I just looked up a BRICS video. Like a great example, anything about BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, anything about China, like the shill accounts, like any like white YouTuber that lives in China, half to like 70% of their comments are bot accounts, which is like, these are bot accounts, right? This is where they're coming from. So when you go see a shill channel, any of these guys that work on behalf of the CCP, their comments that have no avatar and have like user XP127, whatever, that's coming from this world.
Yeah. Take a look at the scale, though.
Yeah.
You can see. Look at the scale. Okay. It just expands out. There are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of phones in this one building. And this is just one of the many bot farms that you get dotted around. China employs this, Russia employs this,
If you are a country that needs to use this to sway public opinion in another country about yourself, so you, like, for example, this is China.
Yep.
If China needs to do this on a massive scale to change the minds of Americans with bot accounts, then you probably know that they're not very good.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to do that. Just get good.
Yeah, exactly. Just pretty insane, the scale.
Yeah. That is wild.
Yeah. What's going on here? We have a new little Roberts clip for you.
Oh, yeah. So this is one of those, usually you'll see these on the ground.
Yes.
They'll be laying on the ground. I think you've got a little Roberts sound bite.
I certainly do, right over here.
China's robotics industry is very, it's hyped.
It's hyped. It's a massive propaganda push. They keep putting it out. They're like, oh, now we got boxing or whatever and all this. Whatever. It's the new VR. You know what I mean?
It's just the new VR. It's one of those new metaverse.
Yeah,
remember when China was hyping the metaverse? They thought they were going to control the metaverse because
Yes.
everyone's going to live in VR in the future.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No. Anyway, let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
We found the original audio.
Yeah, so we found the original clip with the original audio. Listen carefully.
Okay. Let's listen.
Poor guy. Getting absolutely harassed.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Bro, you know what's sad about that is they had to practice that.
You think they practiced that?
Bro's pants were in his ass crack.
I mean, maybe that's just the way he wears his pants.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they did that a lot, and I think it got to a point where he's like, I don't mind this.
Either way, guys, take a look at the date stamp up there. This was from yesterday, well, 2 days ago, sorry.
2 days ago, yeah.
And this is a disgruntled woman.
You guys are sick.
What?
Some people are like, I need that robot. Get out of here.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen?
I think a middle-aged Chinese woman is going to crash through into a CCP. This is a CCP office, by the way, a Chinese government office, with her car, smash and get out because she hurt her ribs.
Okay, let's see.
I may know that because I put this in the...
Entirely possible, right?
nice.
with her BMW.
Is it a BMW?
I think so.
I think it's a Honda.
That's a Honda?
Yeah. No, you might be right. I didn't see it on the way in.
I feel like it's a BMW.
We could look again.
Yeah, we
Should we look
could.
again?
Okay, we
Okay,
got
let's
a
not
jam
waste too
pack.
much
We
time.
won't. We'll just.
Oh, well, let's see this again.
Stop. I know you
right
like
in
that
there,
clip a
isn't
bit too much.
Pause. You have the mouse.
I know.
I'm not controlling this. Yeah, it's a BMW.
That's a BMW.
Yeah. I was just looking at the back.
I guess you just don't know
Definitely can
cars as well as I do. It's just that simple.
I didn't see the front. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just
The
being
new Hondas
facetious.
are kind of like
Yeah, I'm being facetious. I know.
kind of slope, kind of sloping.
She's obviously disgruntled with the CCP for some or other reason.
Yeah, we don't know the context behind this. We do know this is a CCP office, and the cops are very nice.
Yes. Oh, China's legendary Spitfights have now reached another level.
If you're new here, you probably need an explanation of what a Spitfight is, and give us a thumbs up, by the way, if you're enjoying this thus far.
Spitfights is, look, in China, if you get into an altercation, a physical altercation, if you punch someone, the Chinese police even put out a notice. They say,
I like that.
if you get into a fight, even
Yes.
if you win, you will lose.
You'll lose,
Because the winner, the guy who...
It says like even if you win, you lose, and if you lose, you still lose. or
You
something
still
like
lose,
that,
yeah. Because what happens is the winner of the fight injures the other person, then the other person is going to get compensation from
Yes.
you. You don't get really arrested for assault or anything. The police will come and make you pay the other person. That's usually how it works.
And it could be a lot of money.
Yeah, they could claim medical bills for like
Yeah.
years.
They could.
I mean, they try.
they always do that.
So, in order to avoid this, people spit on each other because that's not considered assault in China. You can spit on someone as much as you want in China.
because it's not physical contact.
Yeah.
I think it's worse.
Me too. You could give them disease.
This is the first time I've ever seen a spit fight to avoid legal liability where it was a three-way.
Yeah, this is a three-way spit fight
Yeah.
because now he's got his passengers helping him out too. Take a look.
One of those things where you get to learn about another culture because no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm trying
yeah.
to be facetious.
Yeah.
Like you get to learn about because laws rule a lot of people's lives, right?
Yeah.
You get to learn, well, because of this law, they actually have spit fights. And it's so true.
Yeah.
The first time you see it, you're like, that's probably a one-off.
Yes.
It's so common.
Yes.
We see footage of this all the time.
Yeah.
Yo, this is wild, by the way. Mm-hmm. This is wild.
Yes.
Should we look?
Take a look. Yeah, let's take a look.
This is
Don't worry, nobody gets injured.
No, it's a meteor.
This also was from 2 days ago.
Yeah, in Guangzhou.
Yep.
Watch the sky. So this
Yeah.
is nighttime. Turns day.
那个
Yeah, wild.
It's insane, yeah.
我操！
What? There's another clip that's even better. It like focuses on the sky a bit more.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Watch this. It's nuts how it turns into daytime.
Yeah.
You can see the clouds. You can't see clouds and stuff at night. You know what I mean?
That is kind of crazy.
It is.
Anyway, we have to do a little segment on China's low trust society because there is a propaganda push
Yes.
right now from the CCP to try and pretend like China has a high trust society.
It's the lowest in the world.
Very disingenuous, and it's actually dangerous because it might trick some people into letting their guard down.
There's two things. It's dangerous and it's also unfair because what China's trying to do right now, and we noticed this, if we put something out there that shows something they don't like, so for example, theft or
Yeah.
violence or something that they're trying to downplay,
Yeah.
when they directly respond to us, we won't say how they did, but they directly responded to us about this stuff,
Yeah.
about package theft in particular.
Yeah.
Then we know we've hit a sore spot because they're pumping tons of propagandists. And we've seen a lot of white guys walking around China, white chicks too,
Yeah.
walking around China pretending like it's the safest country in the world. And they're all a script, right?
Yes.
And when we noticed that, we're like, that's going to be something they're really trying to hide. So what they're
Yes.
trying to do is actually piggyback off of South Korea and Japan's real earned reputation for being safe.
Yes.
For being low crime, for being high trust. So
Yes.
everyone knows in Japan, you leave your wallet, someone will track you down and give
Correct.
it to you, right? Everyone knows in Korea, if a crime is committed, the police will find out who did it and punish them, right?
Yeah.
No one thinks that China is a safe place, but they're trying to make everyone
Yeah, they're trying to
think so.
pretend like within China, people know the Chinese
Yeah.
people know, but they're
Yeah,
trying
they would
to
laugh.
they're trying to put this image out to foreigners that it's a high trust society. So, we'd like to bring you some up to date clips. This was shot on the 25th, so a couple days ago. It's last week, and again, take a quick
5
look
days
at
ago,
what's
yeah.
happening here. See if you can spot it. Okay, I'm going to say, pay attention to the mother holding her child walking into the shop.
Yoink.
Yep, no
Bit
more
of a
phone
yoink.
for you.
No phone for you.
Theft and pickpocketing in China is rampant.
And they have rings that do it, right?
Yeah, you can see the guy on the scooter waiting to take it away. Last week we showed you a clip. Was it last week? I think it was last week. We showed you a clip of a child almost being kidnapped, and the father didn't realize. Remember, he walked out of his shop and well, here's another close kidnapping, and look. We're only ever going to show you the rescues because it's it's
So
too heartbreaking. Yeah, it's
Like,
too heartbreaking to see when they're successful, which they are all the time.
Over 100,000 kidnappings, successful kidnappings in China per year. Over 100,000.
Yeah, I think it was 70,000 was the last. But yeah, who knows? That's
the
underreported.
estimates right now.
The estimates. Yeah. All right, so take a look. This woman is busy kidnapping this child.
By the way, this is on the 24th.
Yeah, this was on the 24th. Again, last week. Yeah. Mother runs up, rescues the child. Kidnapper just waltzes off. You see, this happens a lot.
So it's so common that if you brought it up with a Chinese person, this is the one thing everyone will agree on.
Yes.
Every Chinese person will say, I would never let my kid play alone because they will get snatched in China. Everyone knows this. Yes. Everyone takes precautions in China. That's why this woman was able to run up and grab her kid, but it still happens. It's insidious. There's whole gangs. I've seen them myself.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You've seen them yourself.
Yep.
It's such a part of Chinese society that's not addressed. In fact, instead, when the parents go and have these big, not protests, but like, please help me find my baby or whatever, in the park, the cops try to block it off so people don't see it.
It's awful. Here's the thing. You're in an urban environment here. You're in a city, downtown. The mother's with her child, probably at her own shop or doing her own thing there. This middle-aged woman just nonchalantly kidnaps the child, walks away, and then when confronted, just kind of carries on as if life is normal. No one's running after her to try and stop her, and she'll go grab the next child that's available.
Yeah, this is happening over 100,000 times a year in China, successfully.
Yes.
Now, this is an unsuccessful attempt.
Yeah.
To be a CCP apologist, an American guy from America, that moved to China to work for the Chinese government to spread propaganda that says this doesn't happen in China is effing evil.
It is evil.
It's evil.
So again, with knowledge you can be forewarned. Okay, and you have to understand that in China, never let your child out of your sight.
Yeah.
Okay, I would never do that, and neither would any Chinese person I know.
Nope.
So anyway, here's a successful,
Props to the mother for figuring it out.
That was so close. Did you see? She was taking the child down the road.
And there'll be a van with a bunch of guys in it.
One horrible thing about Chinese society is people won't get involved. So if they see a child screaming being dragged down the road, they'll probably think it's a little like family dispute or something, and they don't get involved. They won't go and say, is everything okay to the kid?
Nope.
They'll just let it continue.
I just, there's a little agitator in the chat, and I'd just like to point this out because it's a good segue.
Yeah.
Tim S. says, this happens everywhere.
Does it now?
Does this happen to over 100,000 children in broad daylight every single year? And then the response is that the government silences the people that bring it up.
Yeah, by the way, I know there's a statistic that seems very high for the amount of children kidnapped in America, but I looked into the statistic and it's bogus. It's like any child that's been reported missing and, who just didn't turn up, but then was returned immediately or came back
Custody
home.
battle stuff.
Or it was like the mother or the
Divorce.
father like called the cops, my husband took the kid or whatever, but they resolve it.
Yes.
So if
That's
you actually,
the vast majority
like
of them.
something like 89% of the cases are resolved immediately within hours of being reported.
Yeah.
So it's a disingenuous statistic.
It's wrong.
Also, the Amber Alert system in America is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was blown away when I came to America, and I remember my phone buzzing, and it's like Amber Alert, looking for a Honda Civic, silver Honda Civic with this license plate, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And then it turns out if there's a kidnapping, they release like an Amber Alert, which goes out, like broadcasts to everyone to look out for this kidnapping victim. That doesn't happen in China.
So in China, the statistic I'm giving you is successful kidnappings of unreturned children.
Yeah, they didn't get returned.
No, they get sold. You don't even want to know what happens.
Yeah, let's not even get into it. It's horrible.
You can look it up yourself.
But again, China's kidnapping problem is horrendous. And no, it doesn't happen all over the world. It doesn't happen in the UK. It doesn't happen in the US. Go look closely at the statistics that you're looking at. You'll find out that it's bogus. And it's incomparable China wins on this one. I'm sorry. China is
Hand
worse.
over fist.
China is far worse when it comes to kidnapping than any developed country.
Not even close.
Yeah. Not even close.
Not even within percents.
Yeah. So please don't. That's a false equivalency.
Yes. I didn't mean to react to trolls, but I think it's a great way to.
Oh yeah, we have to point it out because they're always trying to defend this.
Well, when I see Wu Mao's in the chat,
yeah,
popping up, it means we hit a sore spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I know for a fact they're trying to promote this safe society thing and high trust society thing.
Yeah, they are. Anyway, thank goodness that child wasn't kidnapped.
Yeah.
See how close that was? Yeah. Okay, speaking of high trust societies, we all know about this thing called the broken vase scam. Mm-hmm. I'd like to show you everybody a perfect example of the broken vase scam in action right now. So these guys are all loitering around the entrance to what appears to be a housing complex. All right. So let's take a look. Here comes obviously
see a rich guy.
Yeah, they see. Oh, there's an Audi coming in. They must have some money. So let's see what's going to happen. So, can you see what happened there? It's a gang.
Usually it's one dude.
Yeah.
This is a whole gang.
Well, this is what they do for a living.
Yeah.
So the one guy jumps in front of the car, pretends to be injured, while the other guy immediately jumps up, and they are now going to be the witnesses, right? That say that the other guy hit them.
Yep.
And when the cops get called, all these guys who are in cahoots will go tell the cops, "No, he hit him. It's his fault. We saw it. We witnessed it." Unfortunately for them, there was a camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better watch out for the broken vase scam. That's what they call it.
That's huge in China.
Yeah.
High trust society, right?
Yep.
You feel like it's ground floor.
Remember this?
On the ground.
Ground level.
The ground floor.
On the ground level.
The ground floor.
Ground floor level.
Ground.
The ground floor.
Ground level.
On the ground floor.
First floor.
First floor.
Ground level.
floor.
Ground.
You'd be forgiven for thinking that we were on terra firma. However,
We are actually.
we are in fact.
But you actually.
I'm actually.
While actually is actually. You're actually.
But actually.
We're actually.
You're on the 22nd floor of a building.
On the 22nd floor.
22 stories up.
20 stories above the ground. You're on the 20th floor.
Is that we are 22 floors up.
We are on the 22nd floor right now.
That's a 22nd floor.
Yeah. 22 floors up.
You're at 22nd.
On the 22nd floor. On the 22nd floor.
And down here, there's 22 floors down the side of this building. Oh my days, check that out.
22nd floor.
You remember that?
Yes.
Remember that was when tons of YouTubers, knowingly or unknowingly, I won't point fingers,
Sure.
participated in one of China's propaganda campaigns
Oh,
to
massively.
promote Chongqing, a absolute hell shithole place, to be honest, a shithole city.
It's interesting.
Yes, it's interesting, but it's interesting from, how they say cyberpunk?
Yeah.
They're like China's cyberpunk city. That's not supposed to be a positive thing. That's like dystopian.
Sure.
It's polluted as hell.
Yeah.
It's ugly. It's poorly planned.
Yes, it's falling apart if you go out of those main tourist areas.
Yes.
It's also it's rampant, full of prostitution and
It's bad.
horrible vice.
Because it's the, what's it called? The wealth gap in Chongqing is nuts. It's nuts, right? You have the poorest people in China next to the richest people in China.
Yeah.
And it's wild, right? So it just creates this very dystopian, it's ugly.
Yeah.
It's an ugly place. But they turn the lights on at night and these skyscrapers and they get all these YouTubers to go out and they pay them, some of them.
Yeah.
Promote it. Anyway, we figured out this campaign. We put it all together. And it was interesting to see this because since then, there's a lot of eyes on Chongqing, obviously, right? A lot of eyes on the city. And so we notice when something happens, like, for example, this.
Oh, yeah, this is the ground level.
This is the ground level. This is in Chongqing.
Yeah. Scaffolding
教堂
collapsed.
口手脚架坍塌
I
砸
mean,
到
this is
人了。
minor for China, but we just thought it'd be fun.
Now
to
we're
bring
on the
back.
22nd
We're
floor.
on the 22nd floor, looking down at the ground
Level, exactly. Yeah, a lot of pedestrians were trapped underneath
Yeah.
that, between the railing and the scaffolding. Not safe.
重大安全事故呀，这是。
Oh, by the way, this building in Chongqing.
22nd floor building.
Dude, look at this. Look at this, guys. I'll give you 10 seconds. Is this not 22 floors?
Yeah, this is 22 floors.
This is how 22 floors becomes ground level.
Let's take a look. There we go. So this is recently knocked down. They made a big fanfare about this.
Yeah, some people were claiming there was like homeless people living inside.
Yeah.
I think it was like debris.
Yep.
It looked like debris and towels flying around.
Yeah.
You can do your own research.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how 22
Ground
floors
level?
becomes ground level.
Exactly.
What's this?
Before we continue with the show, guys, we have merch now, finally. We are so proud of this. We've got top quality stuff. I mean, this is not some little thing where we've paid a company to make something for us.
These are all
This is
handmade.
in-house, by one of the best artists in the world, has made fantastic merch for us.
Yes.
Okay, for the China show. So what you're seeing here are some of the designs. We've got the ABP, the America Bad Party, which is... America Bad Party. Well, sorry.
Whoa, no.
I'm sorry, I'll do that again.
America Bad Party, America Bad.
Okay, the America Bad Party, which of course is the trend that's happening nowadays where everybody says America's the worst. Kind of like, when you say there's kidnapping in China and they're like, oh yeah, but in America it's worse.
That's ABP.
Yeah, that's what we call ABP. It's this whataboutism nonsense. Great design. We
Not
love it.
AI art, handmade by Dragonella.
Yeah, there's no AI in this. There's no nonsense. It's all made by a real artist. Okay, and everything is made in the USA.
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing.
Slopaganda.
Resist slopaganda. My favorite segment of the show, slopaganda. We've got
one today.
We've got a merch. Yeah, we got a great one today.
We got merch for that.
Yep.
We got hoodies. We got t-shirts. We got jackets.
We've got our limited time design, which is
This
pick
one's
up the
going away
bike.
soon.
Yeah.
This one's going away soon. So pick this up. Pick up the bike. If you guys don't know, it just means do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
It's an inside joke with the China show. If you're part of us, you know. You
Yeah.
know. The real
Exactly.
ones know.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Love that one. People really like it. Seems like it's the best seller so far.
This is where, like, if you have a ton of money, buy like 10,000 of these stickers and put them everywhere.
You've got to have a lot of money to do
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Buy, like, let's just say you have zillions of dollars.
Yeah, if you're like a Soros type character, but
But
a
like-
nice one.
You don't have to be like that. You can just be a rich guy. There's
Yeah,
plenty of
exactly.
rich guys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rich women too. If you're a rich lady or a rich man, buy 10,000 of these and go put them everywhere, or pay someone to put them everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then we'll spread the word about
Yeah.
the China show. Because if you scan the QR code,
It comes
a lot
to
of people
the
say,
China
"Oh, the
show.
media's lying about China." What does that mean? They're
Yeah.
enticed, and they go, and it's our channel.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
Spread the word. Grassroots.
Yeah, it's a very cool little sticker. I really like it.
Anyway, the limited one, see that white one? They all come in all colors. by
Yes,
the
you
way.
can choose a color. You can also choose a quality. There's a bunch of different qualities
Yes.
to suit your needs, your
And it could-
personal
I think
preference.
It's up to like 5XL or something, a very big size now, so we accommodate all sizes now.
Yep.
That one on the left, though, pick up the bike. That is very limited edition. That will be pulled. That will not be re-released.
Yes.
The other ones are permanent.
Yeah.
There's a new design coming in a couple months, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think
Yes.
everybody's going to love that one. Anyway, please go over to the chinashow.threadless.com to buy your Made in America, 100% Made in America China Show merch.
And send it to a loved one if you have fans
Yes.
of the show and your
Yeah,
family.
We'd
friends.
love to see this go out there. We've ordered ours. They're on the way. We can't
Yes.
wait.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, time to continue with the show.
Bollard.
It's time for
Bollard.
Bollard report. So, in China, they set up these bollards because there are domestic terrorism attacks,
Yes.
which are people driving their cars into giant crowds of people almost every week, killing them. It's grim.
It's horrible.
We're here to talk about how the government instituted a policy where they put these bollards
Yes.
everywhere to prevent these vehicular manslaughter incidents.
Yes, exactly.
And I suspect some shenanigans with this
Okay,
one.
yeah.
They've turned these bollards into wireless charging
Stations.
port stations. And they also they play ads. This is like dystopian. This is like Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Just play it. People can put their phone down.
By the way, don't think this is widespread.
Oh, this is just in one street, in one place.
This, by the way, I got to tell you, this happens a lot.
Yes.
Remember they had those like traffic lights or whatever, and you can go up to it and like ask directions or something.
That one.
Yeah, but there was only like
it didn't
one.
work.
There was one intersection that did it. But then you get these articles that go out there like China releases
Yeah.
smart traffic lights, and people think it's around the entire
Yeah.
country. It's literally one
Dude,
intersection.
People
did
have
it.
donkey carts outside the
Yeah.
city. They're not asking traffic lights for directions when
Exactly.
you're burning your garbage in a burn barrel and
Yeah.
whipping your donkey to go to the shop.
My whole point is that these kind of examples are usually used in propaganda to say like the whole country has them.
Yeah.
They don't. So I just wanted to dispel this. This is like a once-off in a one little area thing. They're trying this out.
Not that this is impressive, but you have to watch ads while you use your phone on the charger.
You have to be bent over so the car can hit you in the ass.
Yes, so you're gonna get hit by a car. You're watching an ad while you're playing with your phone bent over. That's our bollard report.
Yeah, that's the bollard report.
That's dystopian.
And I just got to say, I'm curious how long they're going to last.
I think they'll last 6 months.
Yeah,
I'm calling 6 months.
People are going to be sitting on them and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and they'll steal them.
Yeah, they'll do something. You know, here's the thing. China, when I got there, I was very impressed because I lived next to Huajianbei, which is the massive electronics district. And they set up this building, and I was really impressed because they just finished it while I was there still. And I used to walk past it on my way to work. And at night, it turned on, and they had like LEDs, and it would have like a dancing silhouette on it. And I thought, this is awesome. It's amazing. It lasted a week.
Yeah.
And then there were like dead spots on it. And then after a while, they just turned it off and didn't turn the lights on anymore because it was all broken. And I was like, okay.
Thanks, guys.
That's kind of what happens is you get the shiny, cool like idea of like, look how fancy it is. But it's just for show, and then it goes.
They get their propaganda out of it first. Yeah. This is Beyond the Great Firewalls, where I take you inside of China and show you stuff they don't want you to see.
This is the main topic. Well, the topic of the thumbnail. One of the main topics. We got a lot today. So why don't you take it off, or should we just play this out
We
first?
should play what she says, and we can kind of guess, and then I'll explain everything.
Okay, all right, guys, let's watch this.
这个对不起，没有跟人说过一句抱歉，人家还跟着在那里刷着抖音，我实在不明白这种人。16万，从大家抖音、快手和小视频号扩大一下吧。
So what she said sparked a revolution.
I think I may have seen some bollards.
There were bollards.
Yes.
But you can play this out. We don't need to pause anymore. We're just going to turn it down a little bit. But basically what happened was, I'll read it. I'm going to be careful with my words here.
Okay.
But basically a number 6 middle school in Xuchang, in Hunan. A lot of things happening in Hunan, by the way.
Yes. Look at that hammer and sickle. Wonderful. That's where you want to go to school.
Isn't that nice? In Xuchang,
Yeah.
in Hunan, what happened was a middle school student, right?
Yeah.
Did something. Something happened to her. It's self-inflicted. Okay,
not around anymore.
No, she's not around anymore. Okay.
Yeah. Left this mortal coil.
Do you know what happened?
What?
According to her classmates, the head teacher of her, who did the thing, right, was verbally bullied for an entire semester, including
so the head teacher verbally bullied her.
And corporal punishment.
Right.
So on a 40-degree hot day, so we're talking over 100 degrees, right? Fahrenheit, or around there.
Yeah.
She was forced to run laps in the playground and was locked outside the classroom and not allowed to enter her for classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, just for those of you who don't see the footage in the background, you've got students smashing the school.
Yeah, so this is going to make sense as I read it. And then eventually, she did the thing, right? Afterwards, the parents went to the school to discuss what happened. Obviously, it was blocked from the parents. They didn't know what happened to their daughter, right?
We've seen this happen a lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah, if you follow the show, you'll know. Look, the students are like wrecking the computers, wrecking everything, yeah.
The school gave them a bad attitude, didn't give them any answer, right?
Yeah.
It's speculated that woman in the beginning is the mother, okay, telling everyone to spread this around the internet.
Yeah.
The head teacher who started the incident was watching Douyin in his office, so just scrolling TikTok in his office while the incident was happening, while the parents were complaining to the school. Okay. The students were like, "No, justice for our classmate, who lost her life." Right?
Yeah.
They gathered together and completely destroyed the school.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, "This is enough," right? And this was a grassroots thing because people around the town started to hear about it, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" And they showed up. China then, and you'll see in a second, brought in the special police, the SWAT. They brought in paramilitary.
Yeah.
They brought in everything to stop this, right?
Yeah.
Not only to stop what was happening to school, but to prevent this from becoming a Tiananmen.
Yeah.
Because this was quickly becoming a very, very scary scenario for the CCP.
Yep.
Because sometimes an event like this is enough to spark an actual revolution.
Yes.
So what happened was the classmates said the girl's family was pretty poor.
Yeah.
And
They're smashing the surveillance cameras.
Yeah. The kids went wild, right?
Yeah. Was that a projector?
Apparently, according to her classmates, she was pretty unpopular, so the teacher was jealous of her.
Okay.
And would make her run and do all this stuff. The students took notice to like how unfairly she's being treated by the teacher.
Right.
Right. And this was enough to make them go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So to see such a nuts response, like people were like, "What's going on here?" They're just taking videos.
Yeah, you can see all the police vans.
Police vans, right?
They've brought in all the special police to control the whole situation. You can see the riot police all lined up there. I'm just going to try to
wait till you
rewind
see
a little
the night
bit.
footage.
Yeah.
You'll see better at the night footage.
I know. I just wanted to point it out because this guy's kind of clandestinely filming because he knows he'll get into trouble.
Yeah, they'll arrest you.
Yeah. So you can see they've got riot police lined up at the front gate there. Mm-hmm. And they're not allowing anyone near the school because obviously they were smashing everything and so on. But yeah.
But when the smashing was completely taken care of, they set up a perimeter.
Yeah, look at all these cops.
They were arresting people that were getting too close. They were removing posts online. They were making sure that every last bit of police presence was there to make people scared as hell to do anything else.
Yeah.
Because again, this wasn't just about kids not breaking glass or whatever. This was
they're sending in armored vehicles. That is an armored vehicle,
Yes.
by the way. I've seen these in Shenzhen. They keep them at the border.
They
it's kind
brag
of
about them.
It's kind of like a Humvee type thing,
Yeah.
but it's an armored vehicle, and where the police can shoot from on top there and everything. It's got those kind of porthole things on the top, whatever you call them.
Yeah. So what happened was, this is sad.
Mm-hmm.
People made these dedications because their posts were getting removed, right?
Yeah.
So what they would do is take drone footage of the school and play a sad song and then say, like, I realize, after saying goodbye, I realize I'll never see you again. And people outside of China were spreading that on Xiaohongshu.
Yes.
Much to the dismay of the CCP. They want everyone to shut the hell up about this story.
Yeah. Bollards. Do you see the bollards over there at the front of the
bollards
school?
all over the place.
Especially near schools, you need lots of bollards.
Yeah, because people like to run over children.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a thing. So somebody went back the next day to see what was going on. Completely wiped. Like, there's no evidence that any of this happened, except for a massive police presence now, which is permanently installed.
Yeah, you can see. Look, they've fenced off that whole area. That you can see. That's where they were smashing things.
Yeah.
Now
so that people can't see it.
Behind the censorship with the police vans are there now.
They're monitoring people to make sure nobody's reporting on this.
Yeah.
Talking about it. You have cops everywhere now. Mm-hmm. Heavy police presence now.
Yeah.
And they've really just wiped, kind of like akin to how they used hoses on the blood in Tiananmen Square after the incident, after the massacre.
Yeah.
They wiped it clean and made sure no one talked about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not seeing a whole lot of people talk about this story.
Well, that's what they do. That's why a lot of people say, like, isn't there going to be a revolution?
Yeah.
Aren't the people of China going to rise up?
So close.
Well, they can't, because this is what happens. Every time it starts, before it can spread, they've already sterilized the scene. They've arrested everybody. They've clamped down. They've whitewashed the whole place, hosed it down. Nobody can see anything happen there.
And then they'll house arrest and permaban the parents of the victims from doing anything about it or saying anything.
Anyone who posts about it online gets silenced. And so, it's basically a fire starts and they put it out.
A good example of this is the Sitong Bridge guy, the guy in Beijing who unveiled a banner.
Yeah,
just
remember
unveiled
that
a banner.
banner,
Like, you can do that all day in America, right?
Yeah.
Unveiled a banner. It just says they want freedoms and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This guy was obviously completely, black bagged forever, right? He's gone, right? But his family, he has a little girl, and his wife are under permanent house arrest in their village, thousands of kilometers away.
Yeah.
And no one's allowed to see or talk to them because he unfurled a banner.
Yeah.
Do you see how China operates?
Yep. Well,
it's effed up.
By the way, this next example that we have here,
this is crazy.
Is kind of related. Now, where exactly was
Go
this?
ahead and just play it.
Okay.
So this was in Hunan as well. Same
the Hunan
province.
Financial Bureau is on fire here.
Yeah.
And this is related to something else. Okay.
There's a couple things.
Yeah.
This is in Luoyang.
What happened was, what was it? It's a village bank?
Yes, it was called the Hunan Village Bank.
Okay. A lot of people went to go and protest because they couldn't get their money out. And this happens a lot with these...
You should just play the footage.
Yeah,
It's long.
yeah, that's true. So a lot of people went to protest because their money has been, stolen, basically.
Yeah, so it was hundreds of people gathered at first.
Yes.
Because of the Hunan Village Bank.
Mm-hmm.
They were shouting slogans, doing all that kind of protest stuff outside of the Hunan Provincial Financial Regulatory Bureau. So
Yes.
CCP jargon for the government building for that.
Yeah, so the village bank stole their money, so they went to the government building that does the regulations on finance to demand answers. Like, hey, listen, we've lost all our money. So here's the insidious part. And this is, again, will show you how China tries to control these things, the Chinese government. These hundreds of people turned up. They're crying. They're demanding their money back. They're demanding the government does something about it.
Right.
And then what happened is, and you can see them all here. They're all there. They decided that they would not allow anyone from outside of that village, or sorry, that town to stay in the hotels.
Mm-hmm.
So if you came from outside, you're not allowed to stay there.
Correct.
It's crazy. So they brought in all these cops. Obviously, you can see them all there to block everyone off again. They always do this to make sure that nobody gets out of hand and that they could control the situation. But then on top of that, to make sure these people didn't stick around, they went to the hotels and forced all the hotels to not allow anyone who's not a local from that city to stay in the hotels. Any hotel in the city.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is all these people had to sleep on the streets. You know, because they thought, oh, if we don't let them stay in the hotels, then they'll just have to go.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They stayed on the streets.
Yeah.
And look at that. Can you see those drones?
Yeah.
So they've got police drones monitoring the crowd. They're filming the drones. So they're there monitoring everyone, making sure they know who's there.
Make sure they know who to run over with the tanks.
Yeah, exactly. And who to go and talk to next time and later. This, by the way, you can see the footage was taken on the 27th. So we're talking 3 days ago.
Yep.
And it lasted for about 3 days. This whole thing. As you can see, everybody's,
People lost their entire savings. Their life's over.
This particular scenario plays itself out very often in China these days. Small village banks, they take everyone's money and then they run away with the money.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are banks tied to the government. You would expect that they're going to be, reliable. Because the Chinese Communist Party makes out as if they're incredibly reliable and, like they're going to look after the people.
Every time.
So you're depositing your money in a government-linked bank, and you're like, okay, my money's safe. And then you try to withdraw it, and they're like, nope. So this is unfortunate, the current reality in China.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you the whole hotel thing, because we've actually got footage of somebody asking a hotel why they won't let them stay here. Listen.
订房间还要是外地人，还要跟领导报备一下。你告诉我什么原因接待不了？没房间了，接待不了。我都订好了，我钱都付掉了，怎么没房间？现在是诚信社会。你刚才自己说的，外地人要领导请示一下，根本不是没房间的问题啊。
So you heard what she was saying there. It's like you heard
she booked it ahead of time.
Just like there were rooms, but now they're saying, sorry, there's no rooms for outside Waidiren. We've talked about this before. You get Bindiren, Waidiren. So you're either a local or you're an outsider.
Yeah.
So anyone who's not from that little town or city cannot stay in any hotel. So you can see now they're all on the streets with their families, with their little kids and all that kind of stuff, just sleeping on the road. This is how the Chinese government treats the populace.
Yeah.
When they have a complaint or a problem, then they become inconvenient. So now you have to shut them up. So how do you shut them up? You send in all the cops, and then you don't allow them to stay in the hotel, so they have nowhere to go. So they have to sleep on the road. And then the next step is, of course, forcing them to leave, rounding them up, silencing any posts about this online. Try to search about this on the Chinese internet. It's not there.
Good luck.
All you'll see is like propagandists saying how safe it is in China.
And how rich Hunan is right now or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone can get their money all the time. Man, these people literally lost their life savings.
Yeah.
They can't get their money.
Why do you think they're here?
Because there's no financial... Remember, in China, it's a communist country, right? The irony is there's no social programs, there's no social safety net, there's no real welfare system, right? So you have these people that know that the cash they got in the bank, it's all they got because they probably, a lot of them, lost their money on investment properties already.
Yes.
Ghost towns, the thing, tofu drag stuff that never got finished.
Yeah, rotten tail projects.
Rotten tail projects. They get defaulted. They lose out on their only sound investment. They go, oh shit, let me get my money out of the bank. That's shut off too. Government's running out of money in China.
Yeah.
China's getting very, very, and it's a dire situation, especially with the tariff stuff.
Yeah.
China's in bad shape.
Very bad shape. And you can see this because weekly, I mean, we do show you guys weekly what's going on, but there's so much of this material that we could not even dream of fitting it all into one show.
No.
So that's why we've decided to focus on this and the student protests, because there's
Yes.
unrest everywhere in China at the moment. It's not a very
Yeah.
happy place,
No.
you know?
Yeah, I'd say China's the most unstable I've ever seen it been.
Yeah,
Ever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Unequivocally can say that. As you can see, there are little clashes between the cops and the protesters. And again, these are not really protesters. These are citizens trying to get answers from the local government. And you saw the first clip happened after this, by the way, that it was on fire. So somebody obviously was like, okay, screw this, we're going to set the place on fire because they won't answer us.
I saw something on in the chat, people saying, why are they all wearing masks? Too many face diapers and all this stuff. Would you not try to hide your identity?
Yes.
Your life's over if you get caught protesting.
This is
you
the
can't
main
protest.
This is the main reason why they do it.
Yeah.
It's because you saw they've got drones monitoring
Yep.
the crowds. Did you see the cops there with their phones, you know, filming? They're trying to film everybody so that later they can go and detain them and deal with it.
Rather than resolve people's, the fact they can't get their life savings out of the bank,
Yeah.
rather than resolve that, they need to make sure they document who complained
Yes.
because they need to go F those people up later.
Correct.
That's the priority of the CCP
Yes.
is social stability.
Yeah, they call these social stability.
Stability management is the new branch of police.
Yeah, stability management personnel. That's what these police are called. Did you notice a lot of them don't have badges or
Yeah.
numbers on their
Yep.
jackets? They're just blank.
You know, China's gone full Stasi fascist mode. Like I said, yeah, it's a communist country. China's a fascist state.
Yes.
And it operates its secret police very much like the Soviets, kind of mixed with the secret police in Germany.
These Germans, yeah.
It's an interesting combo.
It is, yeah. So that's what's going on that front in China. Pretty awful. And of course, what can you do? These people have no chance and no hope.
I do want to refresh everyone's memory here.
Yeah.
This stuff started in 2022 and it's not been resolved.
Yeah.
It's still happening in Hunan.
Yeah, exactly.
Hunan's got, 90 million people. This is a populated province. This is where Chinese culture comes from.
Yeah.
This is a important place. Guangzhou is an important city. This is not Luoyang's an important city. This is not some backwater.
Yeah.
Right? This is a financial hub of China.
Correct.
They can't pay their citizens from their own dang bank accounts.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's just like if you went to whatever Bank of America or something,
Yeah.
you deposited all
In
your money in
Chicago.
there. Yeah, and then you're like, I want to go and withdraw my money, and they're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, Guangzhou's like a Chicago. You go into Chicago, you're like, I need my money. They're like, no.
It's like funds are not available.
And you're like, what am I supposed to do about this? Well, I'm going to go talk to the manager tomorrow. So you go get a hotel, and they go, no, you can't stay here.
You can't stay in the hotel, and we're going to send the police to manhandle you and get
Yes.
you out of here.
And drones will follow you
Yeah,
everywhere.
Exactly. So you get the idea. We've got a lot of footage of people that are in, dire straits here. They're in a desperate situation. They're pretending to pass out on the ground because they're upset and they're
Yeah.
like,
well, I mean, they lost everything.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Of course, it's not cool. Nobody wants to be in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Benito Mussolini defined fascism as the merger of state and corporate power. Quite literally how China is operating. you know.
Exactly. So these big things are going on in China, but all you see coming out of China is, oh, it's such a safe, wonderful place. Look at the lights at night. You don't see what the reality. And two things can exist at once. I said this before. You can have shiny, flashy buildings and poverty and problems and social unrest. They can happen at the same time.
They do.
But you can't only focus on one. You need to be able to look at both, and unfortunately, you cannot see the other side coming out of China.
Why do you think China pumps billions of dollars for you who are watching this video to think China's good? Why do you think they need to do that? Well, because when you do that, when you send a TikTok video out and you pay bots to promote it and you get like 100 million people to watch it, then you saw shiny buildings, you're not going to have a negative or a realistic image of China.
Yeah.
You don't get to see this kind of stuff.
No, you don't.
That's why it's so important that people get videos out and people like us can put them and give them to you.
So now that we've caught you up on a little bit of the unrest, and remember, all of the stuff we've just shown you happened in this last week.
Yes.
Okay, and there's more. We just didn't have time to show it all
I'd
to you.
argue that the big part of the show is coming next.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
After
I wouldn't argue. It's the the most important part of the show is coming up.
Okay, but before that, we have to tell you guys what you missed out on. Guys, holy crap. Okay, I'm just going to play it.
Best episode ever
okay,
on
you
Monday
just,
on our Patreon.
Yeah, just watch this. Just watch this.
You're whipping a gay vampire. You're a Chinese woman, you're addicted to whipping a gay vampire, and your husband left you.
Yeah. 70 men in less than 2 hours, huh?
What the?
That's cringe.
Woof. Woof?
I don't know why I want to cry.
And he says, cry if you want to. Glancing at you, a hint of pain flashed across his eyes.
Okay. What's going on there?
Why XNL Nazi?
Well, he's a Nazi love interest, you know. They look like women.
They literally all look like women.
I'll remember to keep my distance from you next time. Hold me.
Oh my gosh!
It didn't take long. Yes, there's this phenomenon in China. You won't believe it, but you know those 3D boyfriend, like it's a virtual boyfriend thing. It is so big in China, okay, that young women are renting out shopping malls to celebrate the birthdays of their collective virtual boyfriends, and they go and take pictures with cardboard cutouts. Young women in China are like divorcing their husbands because of their virtual boyfriends. And this is a sophisticated virtual boyfriend. It phones you on your birthday.
It sends you messages. You talk to it. You take pictures with it. You go on dates in real life with it.
Exactly. It comforts you during your menstrual cycle. You know, there's all these crazy things, and it's hella cringe.
It's hella cringe, but it's also Black Mirror, dude.
It's insane. So we did a whole topic.
Yes.
We did a deep dive. We had to research this stuff. I downloaded gigabytes of cutscenes and the interactive things. Made me feel very uncomfortable. We had to sit through some of these scenarios. And yeah, if you want to cringe out,
if you want to see, it's probably one of the best episodes we've ever done on Xiaobanhou.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you're new here, that's our VIP show on Monday.
Yes.
It's a patron paywall show.
Yeah.
If you like the China show, you're going to love Xiaobanhou. It's more in-depth on specific topics, stuff we can't cover on YouTube.
Yes.
Go to patreon.com/ADV podcast. It's currently half price.
Yep.
Unless you want to join the live tier, which is, it's twice as expensive, but you get to join live.
Yes.
And you also get to participate in you vote on the next topic. We have live Q&A. Everyone's questions get answered. It's really, really
you can
fun.
find out why so many Chinese women are falling for a Nazi boyfriend.
Yes. You also get access to over 100 plus episodes.
Yes.
And it's a fantastic community. You're going to love it. If you like the China show, you're going to love Xiaobanhou.
Yes.
This is probably the best episode we've ever done.
Yeah, it's super fun. And we hope to see you there. Obviously, only if you have the means. We know it's a big ask, but you know it's the best way to support us, like you said. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show, Slopaganda.
Nice.
Okay.
The Harvard visa, Chinese visa canceling thing's coming up.
Yes.
Big in-depth part.
Now, I wanted to preface this. We're going to just play it, okay? We're just going to play it.
What do you got for me today? I don't know much about this one.
Okay, here's the first thing you need to know. China has been pushing this idea of intangible cultural heritage.
Yes.
Okay, they love this idea. Now, for those of you who know English, you will know what intangible means.
You can't touch it.
It means it's not touchable.
Yeah.
So it's like an idea.
Smell, an idea.
It's an idea, right?
Yeah.
So something intangible is like, you know, so an intangible cultural heritage would be something like philosophical thought or something, you know, language, you know, that type of thing. So they are trying so hard. So they dig up these foreigners that live in China, and then they try to force them into basically showing the world China's intangible cultural heritage.
Gotcha.
But they always do it in cringe ways. So they've dug up this guy. And, well, I think we're just going to play it. How about that? Let's take a look. I'll get us out of here.
Let's see.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. I'm James. I've come from England. I've been in Chengdu for nearly 16 years.
You know, I come from England, but I hate my country because I'm a communist pinky who loves Mao Zedong. I love that murderous dictator so much that I often bow to his statue and keep his picture on the wall in my house. I'm what you call a Mao gobbling wanker gobshite. I literally think of Mao when I'm having a cheeky wank. I even keep this in me wallet for such occasions.
And my wife is Changderan, and my son is Changderan, so that must mean that I am Changderan, because I can even speak a little bit of local Changde dialect. Let me try. Chidime, Chidime. Also, Dengiha, Dengiha.
Hold on.
Oh.
To be a real Chengdu local, you need to know the culture.
Who the hell are you? Telling me that I'm not a local. I've been living here 16 years.
Oh.
For example,
right.
Leicha is part of the intangible cultural heritage here in Chengdu.
Hang on a bloody second here. Intangible? I'm holding the thing. I can feel it just fine.
Do you know how it's made?
Oh, to be honest, I don't know. No.
So here's your challenge.
Yes.
Complete 3 intangible cultural heritage tasks.
Okay.
If you put it off, I'll call you a true Chengde local.
You're on. Okay, let's go.
What is this, a child's tea set?
Oh, 好吃。
这个是好喝的，不是好吃的，傻逼。
Is there a new type of lei cha that we can try, that we can take out and drink as we go along?
对，你问的真好啊，就是我们这边的这个
You don't bloody say. I'm only asking you because I was told to so you can promote your new product. Obviously, I know you can take this with you. Why the hell else is it on the table?
对，让更多的让年轻人去接受。
So, the first task is completed.
Great. Oh, what's that, Sam?
It's Chengde string music.
Chengde string music. Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah. I love music. Is that the task 2?
Yeah, that is your task 2.
Oh.
Let's see what you've got.
So, what did you think of my singing?
Oh, you passed your second task.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, well, I noticed that beautiful fan in your hand. What's that then?
This is a flex-lending painting, and by inheritance, this is your third task.
That's a third test.
Yeah.
Come on then, let's go.
Ugh, that looks awful.
It's my work. Do I pass?
Next work, you pass the third task.
Oh, I passed the third test.
So, James, to really be a Chengde local, you need more practice at home.
Yes, well, today in Hejie, I've tried 3 intangible cultural heritage practices. I think being a Changderan is actually quite difficult.
Exactly. That's why you'll have to come back open.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know what? I'm getting real sick and tired of this condescending rubbish. I lived here 16 years. Stop telling me I can't be a local. Stop telling me I got to visit. What? I'm not a tourist. Also, intangible. Learn what it means. Unable to be touched or grasped. Not having physical presence.
Okay. Yeah, so...
Poor Gems.
Yeah, poor Jumsi, as they call him, Jumsi. Guys, isn't it condescending? First of all, I gotta say, a guy's been living there for 16 years and he doesn't know how to say it tastes good when you drink. He says it 好吃, which means it's food, you know? He doesn't know how to say 好喝. That's a bit disappointing, James. You love Mao Zedong, you salute and bowing down to his statue. You can't even speak his language a little bit. His song is like one ER, son, ER, or whatever. Yeah, kind of lame. But that's not the lame part. Well, okay, he is a pretty lame guy, I'm going to say. But it's the fact that the presenter comes up to him and says, oh, you can't be a real local unless you do this.
And then she gives him tests. She's not from
She's
there.
not a local either.
She's like from Beijing. So why do you get to give that guy a he's more local than you are.
Exactly. Also, intangible cultural heritage is apparently a kind of tea, which you can touch, literally, and like a fan or like a kind of artwork that you can touch.
Those are all tange.
And I mean, the music, maybe you can only hear it, but you play it.
Very pleasant music.
Yeah, wonderful music.
It was, yeah. It was,
oh, yeah.
What a wonderful song. How come I've never heard it?
I actually felt bad for Gems.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because he's got that kind of, that kind of Stockholm syndrome that a lot of foreigners get in China.
Mm-hmm.
When you've been there for over a decade.
Yeah, 16 years.
Yeah, 16 years for this guy.
Yeah.
And every day someone comes up to him and goes, wow, 外国人,你会用筷子吗?
Yeah.
You know how to use chopsticks? And he's probably like, oh, yeah. And they're probably like, 你住在中国多久了? How long have you lived in China? And he goes, oh, 16年了, 16 years, right?
Yeah.
And the reply will be like, welcome to China. And
exactly.
It's like, oh my gosh, dude, I've been here forever. It's this, he still has to deal with this absolute condescending bullshit.
I used to have to deal with that all the time.
Yeah.
I lived in China 14 years, you too. And there'd be like a kid who's like 12 or 13. I've been in China longer than he has.
Yes.
And he'll be saying like, oh, you know China? Welcome to China. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
It's nice, right? But there's things, there's kind of something where it's like, you know how to say hello? Wow. It's like, dude, I've been here for a decade.
I like at the end, she also says, oh, you got to practice more before you can be a real Chengdu local. What are you talking about?
You're not from there.
Yeah.
Why don't you take the tests?
Yeah, the thing is with people like him, because he's a communist, if you watch his,
Sure.
I got that original footage from one of those, like China goes and interviews foreigners. They did
That's
that
propaganda.
to me. They tried, they wanted to go in my house and stuff back in the day. I was like, nah, not going to do it. So anyway, if you look, he is an actual communist and he came from England because
Mao.
he loves Mao, and that was his whole thing. He loves Mao and he goes and worships Mao Zedong stuff and he like licks the wall basically.
You know how I feel about Mao?
What do you think? Oh, yes. Where is that? I'm the same. Anyway, you see this quite often. They go to China and they think they're going to get the respect because they adore the great leader, but then they just end up being a white monkey on a show to say like, oh, I don't know anything about the local traditions.
16 years and you're still being treated like a little baby.
Isn't it terrible? Because giving
your life.
He probably had this great idea that he'd be like one of them because he loves Mao Zedong and everything, but he's just a jester.
I really disrespect his love of Mao. I think that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't worship a dictator that killed tens of millions of Chinese
Exactly.
people. Means you probably hate Chinese people.
Correct.
But that aside, I do feel genuinely bad for him.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing to have to endure.
Yeah, to be clowned on by state media and pretended like you're a foolish little imp who doesn't know what the tea that you're holding in your hand is.
He knows all this stuff.
Of course he does. You don't live in a city for 16 years and not know what the local drink is. That'd be dumb.
It's outlandish.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with it, guys. Hope you enjoyed Slop Again. It's always my favorite segment.
Slop Power Hour, we're going to take you inside of this. Do you remember in 2015 when this happened? Shandong.
Yes.
They chemical plant. Big wild, right?
Yeah. So that was 10 years ago. A decade ago this happened.
Yes. So in Shandong.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. They said, never again. We're going to up our safety standards.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like no more chemical plant explosions.
No more in Shandong.
Yes.
Well, this is from now.
Yeah, this was how many days ago?
A few days ago.
Yeah.
This was
last week.
This is
Oh, look at the buildings! Like the glass is all blown out and everything.
So much.
Okay, all right. Just showing there's the explosion.
This is a petrochemical plant. It was like pesticides, fertilizer type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It went up and it created such a unbelievable, devastating explosion that 2 kilometers away, 2 kilometers, I think up to 3, the cars and houses, their windows were blown out.
Yeah.
We're not talking 200 meters. 2 to 3 kilometers away, these houses and cars are blown out.
I like the response, that one fire engine.
Yes. I mean, I have my suspicions about why this happened, which I think you'll see in a minute. Again, speculative.
Yeah.
I do have my suspicions, though. This is just happening way too freaking often, Winston.
Yeah, I know.
It seems like every week we have to cut footage of a factory that gets blown up or set on fire.
Set on fire, yep.
Now we have this massive one that was just too big to ignore.
Yeah. Oh no, Sonic, he heard chemical plants.
Oh no, Sonic!
Dude's got no taste.
Sonic, that's civilian.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
He heard chemical plant zone, and I think he got excited.
It's like, yes.
He did do something to Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah, I know. We had to stop him. Well, we tried
No,
to stop
Sonic,
him.
no.
Yeah, no, Sonic, no.
But look at this.
Yeah.
It's from far away.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Absolute, sheer, utter devastation.
Yeah. I think that's the chemical plant itself.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Give this stream a thumbs up so more people can see this, by the way, because we need to hit more feeds so people can see what's happening. It's
Correct.
absolutely insane. Utter devastation. China tried to bury this so freaking hard.
As usual.
So freaking hard.
Well, it's a bad look.
Well, because it's happening all the time, dude. Why?
It is a massive, massive explosion. And just think about it. It's a chemical plant, right? So you're going to have terrible pollution going into the environment. Untold amount of casualties.
Yes.
You know, it was during a work day.
Yeah. You know, like right after that, by the way, a bank in Shandong also.
Yeah.
Like same area, basically. burned down as well.
Yeah, that was another financial thing because they weren't paying people. Typical. Yeah. I mean, that is crazy. It looks like an atomic... Oh, it's Sonic!
Sonic, no!
He sees this and he's like...
Sonic. I get that it's a chemical plant.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. Don't exacerbate it.
Yeah.
Freaking Sonic.
Yeah, exactly. He's always doing these bad things to civilian infrastructure, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, that last clip was not from it. This is
because it was in a compilation. Just want to look at some of this footage before it disappears from the internet forever.
Yeah. Either way, guys, there is a lot of crazy things going on in China, as per usual. And this is all just within the last week.
Yeah. Some of the factory.
Yeah, I mean...
They're fine. It's just like...
Yeah.
A while.
Again, official statistics are what? Anything yet?
5.
Yeah, I think they said 5.
5.
I mean...
5.
Oh, yeah. By the way, this is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
this is the bank.
sorry. I didn't know we had footage of that.
So... we got this massive chemical explosion. We've got that the thing where they were burning down the financial bureau, right? This is completely somewhere else now, and they're burning down a bank for the same reasons the bank wasn't paying out the money. So somebody set it on fire.
Near the chemical plant.
Yes, like in the same province.
This is
all within the past week.
What does that mean? Like everything's fine or whatever? It's like burning down.
like burning down. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah.
What did Trump say the other day? He said, like, I know that it was that Truth Social post. It was like, I know China was having some big civil unrest, all kinds of bad things happened after the tariffs.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
No.
Like, it's crazy what's happening in China. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, it caught some other shop next to it alight as well.
Yeah.
Here's the whole thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't want to seem like a broken record, but every week we're showing China's burning.
I don't know what to say anymore.
It's just like...
And it's all over.
Yeah, you know what we can say is that you can finally see what's actually happening in China, because this is not in any news.
No.
This is big stuff.
Yeah, no Chinese news.
Massive chemical plant exploded. There's huge unrest. You know, students revolted and smashed a school down, just try to destroy a school. You know, you got all those people being forced to sleep on the streets because, you know, they've had their life savings stolen away from them. And you've got people setting alight to banks. But yeah, there's no news, right? No news is good news.
There are people burning down factories because they didn't get paid $111 because they can't survive.
Mm-hmm.
China's that broke.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, they got the fire out finally.
Anyway, yeah.
Nice.
We need to get onto a very important story.
Yeah, let's get onto the...
Let's make it big.
I'll make us big.
We have a very important story. I know a lot of you came for us to talk about. There's just so much footage there, but a lot of you came to talk for us to talk about the whole revoking Chinese student visas in America. It's a huge thing in the media right now. But I wanted to cover something real quick in Worldview.
Okay.
I think this is really important.
So this is Worldview, where we speak about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China.
That's right.
Okay, what do we got?
So, do you guys remember this? If you are fans of following China, you'll know that this guy that's being led out of this...
Hu Jintao.
Yeah, this People's Hall or whatever. There's Xi Jinping, the current leader of China on the left. This guy was the previous leader of China. He's getting escorted out in a act of public humiliation.
Yes.
And this lit the news world on fire because it's like, what kind of shenanigans are happening behind the scenes in the CCP? No one ever knows what's happening in the CCP.
Yeah.
So what happened was there was some speculation that that he's been speaking again. The gag order's off. And the previous leader of China had a
Well, he's disappeared.
Letter.
Nobody knows if he's still alive or not, but apparently he is because there's a leaked letter that he said something.
This is a rumor.
Yes.
Okay, and I will never, ever, ever say this is 100% true.
Yeah. So whatever
this
this particular segment, it's one of those very possibly true rumors, but it's a rumor.
Possibly.
So take it with a pinch of salt.
But what comes after is very important.
Okay.
Right. So if the gag order was lifted on Hu Jintao, right, after that whole thing that happened, it would mean that there are serious problems with the stability of the current leadership in China.
Yes.
So it would mean that Xi Jinping's consolidation of power might be waning and that there might be a big shakeup, right? And I don't have to read this whole thing, but the last page of this is important. Can you just play it?
Sure.
The last page of this is important because of a specific quote, right?
Okay.
Hu Jintao basically, what's speculated is that this was part of a struggle session and that Xi Jinping is being put into a struggle session where the leader of the military and Hu Jintao are both kind of bearing down on Xi Jinping,
right?
To say we need to change our ways in the CCP, right?
Okay.
So go back to that last quote. The last quote there.
Oh boy, this thing is really difficult to get like precision movements.
Sure.
Is it this one?
Yeah. So if you see this, it says. In the past 10 years, there's been a serious deviation in the party's line. Some people unilaterally emphasize centralization and unification and ignore the party's collective leadership system and legal procedures. Some people are keen on personality worship and loyalty culture.
Which is literally Xi Jinping.
Yes.
Xi Jinping thought is taught everywhere.
It's Mao 2.0.
Yeah, you have the Shictionary. We've shown you that stupid show where people like study the words of Xi Jinping. Everybody has to, in the government, has an app where they have to like pass a test every day on Xi Jinping thought.
It's way worse than it ever was.
Yeah, it's all about
back
Xi
to Mao's
Jinping.
time.
We've shown you many times when you go to any Chinese newspaper, the whole front page is only Xi Jinping this,
Didn't used to be like
Xi
that.
Jinping that.
This guy, Hu Jintao, the last leader of China, the papers didn't look like that at all.
Oh no, we like this guy. I mean,
comparison.
yes, of course, in comparison, he's not a saint.
No.
But when we lived in China in the beginning, when China was still opening up and actually a friendly place and wasn't such an enemy to the world, it was under his leadership.
Yes, it does. He was guilty of horrific
Of course,
atrocities.
any Chinese leader is going to be.
Especially under the CCP.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm going to continue reading here. And collective leadership that our party has always emphasized on the internal side, social vitality has always been clamped, and the confidence of private enterprises has been frustrated. Externally, in this aspect, the diplomatic imbalance and strategic misjudgment continue to accumulate risks. The most fundamental problem is that the line of reform and opening up and it continues. This is a direct challenge and criticism to Xi Jinping.
Yes, because he is the personality cult guy that he's talking about.
Yes. There was also a leaked letter from the head of the military, which arguably has even more power.
Yeah.
Now, the important thing here is this is the real... So that's rumored, right?
Yes.
Those letters could be fake.
So this is something that really happened now.
What really happened here is this is Xi Jinping's dad, right?
Okay.
And Xi Jinping's dad is a communist hero who's one of the most powerful people in all of the CCP, okay?
Right.
Now, I'll make this super simple, but if you go to the next slide here, this is in Xi Jinping's hometown, where his dad is from, and it was a memorial site for his dad, because, again, one of the most important figureheads in all of Chinese communist history.
Yeah.
This was to be named after him, okay? They, at the last minute, changed the name of this memorial and removed any reference to him at all.
Okay.
So the references to his father are gone.
Okay.
Something is up.
Yeah, that's not normal because everything is Xi Jinping these days.
That's a blatant
And it's in his
disrespect.
hometown.
Right. That's a blatant disrespect. So that's interesting. There's also one interesting thing, too, is they actually had a 40-episode TV series, high production, that was made about Xi Jinping's dad.
Okay.
And they pulled it after a couple episodes. State media didn't even promote it.
That's bizarre.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird, especially because recently, actually, about 10 years ago, they started pushing propaganda about his dad to raise the cult of personality.
Yes.
So they're kind of, it looks like they're dismantling that.
It's hard to say at this point, but I'll only believe it when I stop seeing him
sure.
on the front page of every newspaper and every article's about
For
him,
sure.
and we have stupid shit like Shictionary and Xi Jinping thought being forced on everybody and in the schools. When that starts to go away, I'll start to believe it.
For sure. Now, this is all over the news, and this is
Yes.
an inflammatory headline that is not wrong.
Yes.
But this is kind of getting people into a tizzy, and I really want to break it down.
Yes,
So
okay.
this is a Trump policy. So, Rubio is obviously involved, right? The U.S. will aggressively revoke visas of Chinese students, okay? Now, let's look at this real quick.
Okay.
It's not unfair. It's not an unfair statement, but I think people aren't looking into it enough.
Yes.
The media's all over. It's on every news outlet, right? I don't think it's being reported necessarily unfairly, but I think I actually do think
It
it's
is being reported unfairly.
My point is, I don't think that they're getting facts wrong. I just think that we have
It's
to
very
break,
selective facts.
Yes, we have to break it down actually what this means, right? So it looks inflammatory. It's like, this is xenophobic. Look at what South China Morning Post is saying. Xenophobic U.S. ban,
Yeah.
So it makes it sound like the U.S. is about to ban all Chinese people's visas if they're students studying in America.
Yeah.
That's what it really sounds like if you're a
Sounds
headline
like it,
reader,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's just simply not the case. In fact, this is very important to break down. So let's look at this. So people are talking about this. Harvard's under more scrutiny for international students and all this kind of stuff. But what I see happening is a lot of the sentiment that's going around right now and people that are really against this are actually mirroring Chinese propaganda from the state.
This is the Chinese embassy. Now, we have seen, now you know this is a big problem for China because when they go all out like this, and they have, unfortunately, my job and his job is to look at Chinese propaganda every day. And it sucks. It's so dumb, okay? But one thing that we've noticed is that all state media channels and social media have been blasting this. It's unfair for Chinese visas, be like students to be scrutinized. It's unfair. And okay, we actually have a little translation here. This is the Chinese embassy in the US, one of their Twitter posts. I'd like to read what this is the official Chinese embassy says. Regarding the US State Department's statement that it will revoke visas for Chinese students studying in the US, China firmly opposes this political and discriminatory practice of the US. Now, guys, they're going to try and pull on the old racist
we see
string.
inklings of this again, like what they did with Stop Asian Hate.
Yeah, exactly. This move by the US will seriously undermine the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese students studying in the US. It's nice to know that Chinese students have legitimate rights in the US.
Yeah.
Because they actually do. If you're in America, you have rights. You do not have legitimate rights if you're in China. No. The US students in China don't have any rights, right? And will further damage the US's own international image and national credibility. The Chinese embassy in the United States has lodged solemn representations to the US side at the first opportunity, urging the US government to correct its mistakes immediately and effectively protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese students studying in the United States.
This outrage attack has two purposes.
Yes.
One, it's to cause division in the US so that people argue about this issue and they're distracted. Number two is because if they lose their potential spies, then they can't get this technology transfer. We'll talk about why that's so important in a second.
One thing I would like to say, as somebody who has, for the majority of my adult life, after the age of 25, had to live in other countries on visas. A visa is not a right. It's a privilege. When you apply for a visa, you are asking a country, may I study in your country? May I work in your country? May I, marry someone in your country? Whatever it is, you're asking permission, and they look at you and they go through all the stuff and they say, yes, you can. All right? Because, you seem to be all right, or you pass a certain amount of checks. And, being a South African, there's a lot of checks. I always have to provide a lot of information, background checks and bank account statements and everything before I can even go on like a tourist visa somewhere. But it doesn't mean that it's a God-given right. Okay? If you're on a visa, it's because you've been granted a privilege to be there. So you're different. You're not the same as a local person. You cannot claim the same rights and stuff. You're a guest when you're on a visa. And when you're a guest, you got to behave correctly, But now the Chinese government is now pretending as if it's not a privilege. It's a right for Chinese students to be able to go and study in America. It's a right for them to be able to go to America. They've got it wrong. It's not. It's a privilege, not a right. It's like a driver's license, It's not a right to have a driver's license. It's something you have to earn. You have to pass tests for it, right? Anyway, you can see here, China Perspective, which, by the way, this Twitter account is linked to Chinese state media. It is actually, remember, we found out it's CRI. It is Chinese state media. But, of course, you wouldn't know that because it just looks like a Twitter account, right? China firmly opposes the U.S. decision to revoke Chinese student visas.
They're blasting this everywhere.
This is from CGTN, which is, the main Chinese state media. They've got, the English they're getting like random people they're interviewing to how do Harvard students view Trump's suspension of
trying to get people
international students? They revoking international student. Tragic mistake. If you go to we went to their main page just today, and half the things are about the student visa thing. All right. Let me get us out of there so you can see. China slams U.S. for unjustly revoking visas of Chinese students. Harvard grads, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's all about the student visas, the international student visas. And you can find now hundreds and hundreds of videos and articles on all of Chinese state media all about that.
But what they do in this propaganda is they say the partnership between China and America, no matter what happens politically, it's not fair to the students, right? Because we need an even trade of American students that can study in China and Chinese students that study in America. That's our partnership, right?
Yes.
We'll get into why they care so much in a second,
Yes.
but I just wanted to break it down in graphical form so that people can see what cooperation looks like.
Yes.
Do you know how many students, U.S. students, there are in China?
800.
About 800. Do you know how many Chinese students are in the U.S.?
Around 30,000.
300,000.
Sorry, what? Sorry, 300. Why am I saying 30? I meant 300,000. I'm thinking someone.
277,000, almost 300,000 students. It's a
300,000.
It's a tiny.
That's like a
little
country.
Sliver.
That's
it's
like
Iceland,
dude. Yeah, it's like a country's population of Chinese students are in America.
Iceland's population lives in America as a Chinese student.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's insane.
Yeah. So you just look at the graph. You can see what cooperation looks like. Yeah. There's no cooperation here.
And also, look, here's the thing. Chinese students come to America. They study in the top universities. They study in top fields to gain knowledge to take back to China. Mm-hmm. Americans who go to China to study, they might study Chinese language, something along those lines. They're not learning anything they can bring back. They're not like,
unless they become a Chinese teacher or they do foreign policy. Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something along. But what I'm saying is they're not going there to get some new technology to bring back to America.
By the way, this is not being xenophobic. This is just how factual. It works. Like if Chinese people come back, let's go into why this is so nefarious. We're dancing around this. Yeah. This is bad.
Yes.
Let's stop dancing around this.
Okay,
so
we don't need to.
If we look at this, right, you have to understand we have to break down why China would care about this so much. Yeah. So we wanted to harken back to something that happened, a couple years ago?
Yeah, I believe so.
In Harvard.
But I think it was a year ago.
The university in question right now.
Yes, Harvard, right?
Let's have a look. Let's have a little refresh.
Yeah, we had a diplomat come from China to do a speech.
Yes, a CCP official.
Yes.
You come to paint the illusion of a prosperous China, but your hands are painted with blood. You robbed the Hong Kongers of their most fundamental freedoms and devastated their democracy. Now, in my country, Taiwan, you sought to do the same. China, people die! 80% of Canadian children are forced into colonial boarding schools that are aimed to destroy our Canadian people's existence. Shame on shameful! Shame on shameful! You are locked in concentration camps! They are subject to rape, torture, forced organ harvesting, sterilization! Shame on shameful!
But we would like to give our guests the opportunity.
You have blood on your hands! You have blood on your hands! Guilty of genocide! Guilty of genocide! Guilty of genocide! Guilty of genocide! Shame on shameful! Shame on shameful! Shame on shameful!
So those are anti-CCP protesters. I'm trying to spread awareness about the Uyghur genocide, the Hong Kong crackdown that happened.
Yeah, Taiwanese, I believe Taiwanese and Hong Kong and citizens. Yeah. So here's the thing that we wanted to point out. This guy who dragged out the Taiwanese protester who was saying, China's taking the legitimate rights of Hong Kongers away. This guy who just got up and grabbed and dragged her out is a Chinese student from overseas. Yeah. He's not a security guard. He's not part of the faculty there. He doesn't have any special right. He's just a student.
Wait till you see. We'll read you something.
Yeah.
Wait till you see how much power the CCP wields over American citizens and Americans in America.
Yeah.
You want to know who's winning the influence and power battle? Wait till you see what happened. A legitimate protest against the CCP.
Now, as much as I personally have a distaste for the agitator protesters, I acknowledge they have the right to do it.
Of course.
Right? And you have security guards to take them out. And it should be the security guards taking them out, not a Chinese student who, by the way, his family is in the CCP and high officials in the Chinese government who's there. It actually turns out that Chinese students studying in America have more rights than anyone else.
Because they have CCP connections.
Yeah.
The CCP has so much power over the U.S. and are able to mobilize students like this to shut down dissenting voices in America, where people have the First Amendment.
Yeah. So what happened here?
So this is during that like protest thing, right? They actually put those protesters on disciplinary.
So the protesters got suspended, okay, temporarily, but they got suspended and were put on probation. So it says they placed 3 undergraduates on a disciplinary probation for protesting Chinese ambassador Xie Feng. So like, why the Chinese ambassador is giving a speech in Harvard anyway? Who knows? Like,
why are you there? Why do you have CCP officials giving speeches in America?
Yeah.
Answer me that. Why are they here?
Yeah, why? But you don't see like Ambassador Burns or whatever going into Tsinghua to go give a speech about how great America is to the students in China.
Yeah, he'll have to go to speeches and stuff. He's not going to be for soft power propaganda for America.
Yeah, exactly.
And talk about why China's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's never going to happen.
Nope.
You know?
Yeah, Burns was a good one. All right.
A student at the Harvard Graduate School of Education who was filmed physically removing one of the protesters from the event did not face any disciplinary action from the school. So the kids that protested got in trouble. The CCP-connected Chinese citizen student
who assaulted
who took her out.
That's assault.
Yeah, didn't receive any disciplinary action because you have more rights if you have parents in the CCP in America as a Chinese citizen than an American in America.
Yeah.
You do.
You do.
You absolutely do.
It's insane. I mean, at the end of the day, this guy, like I said, physically assaulted her, dragged her out. Not only did he not get any disciplinary action, Harvard sent him an apology letter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because he's powerful.
Yeah. So you see, what happened was after this, of course, the internet was like, screw this. Okay.
Yeah. This is Molinar from the Select Committee on the CCP. Harvard is punishing brave students who spoke out against the CCP's human rights abuses. I agree.
Yeah.
Which not only letting the student who assaulted them off scot-free, but handing him an apology.
Yeah. Because what happened was people started to look into the guy because, the video was going around. And after the event, a flurry of social media posts publicized the identity of the student, as well as his brother and parents, who allegedly hold top government positions in the CCP.
Gee, what a surprise.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Why do we have students that are connected to high up officials in the CCP over here?
So here's the deal.
Enforcing, by the way, CCP censorship.
Yes, continue this. Because in your visa interview, when you come to America, you have to disclose if you have a connection to the Communist Party. So why is everyone getting upset when people that maybe are connected to the Communist Party might face some extra scrutiny? Because unlike ridiculous, crazy headlines that are going to blow this out of proportion, let's read the law.
Yes.
Shall we read it?
Here it is.
This is from the White House.
New visa policies put America first, not China. This is a press statement. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State.
Okay, so go to the next slide so we can zoom in a little bit.
Okay, we're going to zoom in on this.
I want to highlight these key parts because these headlines will have you believe, and the CCP most importantly, will have you believe that this new thing is going to cancel all Chinese student visas.
Yeah.
It's racist.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else to it.
Yeah.
But no, under President Trump's leadership, the U.S. State Department will work with the Department of Homeland Security to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. We'll also revise visa criteria to enhance scrutiny of all future visa applicants from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. So there's two things here. If you are connected to the CCP, you're not supposed to be here anyway.
Yep.
Number two, if you're studying in a critical field of technology that China wants to use for their military to kill Americans.
Yes.
Because that's quite literally what they're doing.
Because remember, these Chinese students that are studying here, they're a student. When you study abroad, it's because you're going to return home. You're not studying abroad because you want to be a part of that society. No. You're studying to learn and gain knowledge and then take it back with you. So why would you allow a Chinese student who's going to go back to China to learn how to inflict the maximum amount of damage on your country.
In a critical
yeah,
thing,
in a critical field.
I have zero problem with Chinese students at universities. I think that's fine.
Yep.
This also thinks it's fine.
Yes.
This is not banning Chinese students.
Nope.
If you are connected to the CCP, you shouldn't be here anyway.
Yep.
That is an enemy government of my country.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will leverage those people whether they like it or not. I don't think the CCP connected students are at fault anyway. I don't think they're like red-blooded communists that want to overthrow America or something.
Yep.
But China can leverage those people, right?
Big time.
That's supposed to be disclosed in your visa interview. Number two, if you're in a critical field with an adversarial nation, China doesn't let an American go to a military school in China where they're researching new military technology.
Biotechnology, new COVID strains.
To go work together hand in hand and take all the information back to intelligence back home.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding me that this is like not a tit, is like a tit for tat thing?
Sure.
This is ridiculous.
Those 800 students in China learning I don't know, like just how to do shadow puppets or whatever. They're not a threat to China, right? But the 300,000 students here are under the control of the CCP. You can see they've got CCP officials' sons and daughters keeping an eye on everyone, keeping them in line, censoring anyone, physically removing somebody if they're trying to shout a slogan.
Well, let's actually look at some evidence.
Okay.
Because there's enough speculation,
Yeah,
right?
it's
I
not
just want to
about-
know, why is this bad? Because it's not revoking everything, right? Here's the concerns. The U.S. government, including State Department and FBI, have voiced serious concerns about Chinese exploitation and theft of U.S. research intellectual property. Where do you think this happens? It starts in the universities.
Yes.
There are reports of widespread intelligence gathering campaign at universities, including Stanford. What do? They target research. U.S. universities are considered high-value targets in China's broader campaign of intellectual property theft and intelligence gathering. This is particularly true in critical fields like AI and robotics. What is the economic impact? Every single year, $225 billion to $600 billion of hard research and intellectual property theft leaves America, leaves the American economy, and hands it to an adversarial nation that is preparing for war with my country, hands it on a silver platter.
And you see this happen all the time, where a company or a university in America will pour billions of dollars into researching something, right? R&D is very expensive, and it involves
China
a
can't
lot.
make anything.
Yeah, so they let's say they research a new chemical, like we remember that Coke can situation where the secret formula of the coating, the BPA, non-BPA coating of the inside of a Coke can. So it took billions or millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop that.
Yes.
Okay? China didn't develop it, but they stole it. All right, somebody who was in the company or somebody who's in the research department steals that technology that has been researched in America, takes it back, and then they just produce it and sell it cheap. So you've lost all that money, all that research and development, and of course, all the profits you would have made selling it. You can't because China's undercutting you now.
Now attribute that same logic to military technology.
Exactly.
Because that's what China's trying to do.
Look at China's military. Every single military vehicle is a knockoff of something else.
Seriously. They don't make anything.
No, there's not one plane or armored vehicle or tank or anything in China that's not just a carbon copy of something from the US or Germany or some other country or Russia.
How do they get it, by the way? This involves civilians to acquire information, such as research conclusions, methodologies, software, and lab workflows. They're getting people's scratch notes. They're stealing people's scratch notes in labs, like their workflow. They're stealing those so they can put it in big data in China and attribute and get some sort of conclusions out of it, right? Because their research is so lacking. Right?
So leveraging scholarship programs. Organizations like the Chinese Scholarship Council, CSC, which funds Chinese students studying in the US, are said to require students to submit situational reports about their research to Chinese diplomatic missions. We see this all the time. Also, these students, scholars associations are horrible. Okay, they infiltrate all of the schools and universities. They keep an eye on the students. They're directly connected to the embassy, so they report on if there's a Chinese student who goes to see a Free Tibet thing or it talks about Taiwan or something, they report it directly to the embassy, and then they'll put pressure on the person's family and on them. They're like little spy organizations running all over the country here.
It's a lot of Chinese students come to America because they want freedom.
Yeah, students and scholars associations. Yeah.
They want to come here, but they are pressured because, look, coercion. Chinese nationals and family members in China may be coerced into sharing sensitive information. Go to the next thing. This gets very important.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a possibility.
Yes.
It's that it's an actual reality.
It's
in
a law.
2017, China made a law called the National Intelligence Law. Now, it sounds innocuous.
Yeah.
But what it actually is, and I won't read through this whole thing, what I'll tell you is that China says that even if you are abroad and you have access to key research, it's not that they'll pay you to get it, they will, but you have to get it.
It's the law.
You or your family will be arrested or pressured in China if you don't capitulate to it.
It's quite literally, even if you're a tourist and you're walking around and you happen to see like a military thing and you take a photo.
You have to, if they want it, you have to give it.
Or you
up.
come across a piece of paper on the ground or something, like you have to give it to China if it's of any kind of intelligence value.
Yes.
It's a law.
This,
So
again,
that unfortunately encompasses all students.
Whether they like it or not.
Yes, and that's the thing. You can't throw blame at Chinese students who legitimately want to learn. And they're here for legitimate reasons. But they are beholden by Chinese law to spy for China if they demand it.
Right. So is it such a weird stretch to put additional scrutiny on the visas of Chinese official and Chinese CCP member tied people on those students and people in key industries because we've lost trillions of dollars at this point to research? Is it that crazy?
Yeah.
We're not advocating for canceling all student visas.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I hope Chinese people get to experience America.
Yeah, I do think it's a little unfair that there's so many of Chinese students here, but so few American students in China. I've always seen this as, it should be reciprocal.
Right.
I think there should be reciprocal programs. Like exchange student should literally mean exchange. Like, okay, one goes there, one comes here. Right. I think there should be 800 students in America right now.
Right.
From China.
Yes.
Or 300,000 Americans in China.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so I don't rip through some.
Yeah, we
some
have to
hard
read.
evidence.
We have to read all of these.
A Harvard University professor and two Chinese nationals, Yang Qingye and Zhao Songjong, were indicted for attempted theft of biological research. Dr. Lieber is a participant in the 1,000 Talents Plan. That's a.
By the way, do you know that the Dr. Lieber has now gone to China? Is now working for a Chinese university?
Are you serious?
After he was released.
While actively accepting the National Institutes of Health, so that's a federal department, and Department of Defense funding, a federal department. Yeah, a lieutenant of the PLA compiled information on U.S. military projects for the CCP. Zheng committed the theft of 21 biological research vials to promote Chinese projects. Next.
Can I just say, they took taxpayer money.
Yeah.
So, you and I, we pay a ton of tax.
Yes.
Americans pay a lot of tax. Yeah. It's a big gripe that most Americans have. You pay a lot of tax. Yeah. Guess where that money went? It went to helping China develop...
The PLA.
Well, it went to the People's Liberation Army.
Your enemy.
They stole it.
Yes.
You paid for them to take technology back to China.
Yes.
That Charles Lieber guy, like I said, he did go to China now. He's a
Interesting.
complete sellout.
I didn't follow up on that.
Yeah, it's fairly recent.
Yang Junshu, an MSS operative, that's like China's CIA.
That is the CIA of China.
Attempted to recruit experts employed by leading American aviation companies to China, often under the guise of giving a presentation at a university. Where have we seen this before?
Oh, yeah.
This is a common thing. It's like we're going to use the guise of education in the university system, and actually this is all about technology transfer.
Yeah, so May 2020, Song Guozheng, a professor of internal medicine at Ohio State University and Pennsylvania State University, pled guilty to making false statements to federal authorities as part of a scheme to use over $4 million in grants from the NIH to develop China's expertise in rheumatology and immunology through his undisclosed partnership with the Chinese university controlled by the Chinese government.
Next.
Again, $4 million of your taxpayer money went straight to China.
Yep.
You funded them.
Yep.
This is not okay.
This isn't a presidential thing, by the way. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, what are you supporting Trump's policy?" Absolutely support Trump's policy here. I also supported some of Biden's policies. This is apolitical from domestic politics. This is about China.
Political. We are somewhere in the middle, and we only care about how China is rinsing the American public, stealing their tax money, stealing the IP, and, it's unfair. It has to stop. So July 2020, So Tong-ang, a University of Arkansas professor, was indicted for wire fraud for his acceptance of U.S. contracting funds related to NASA and the Air Force while being employed by Chinese entities. Again, stealing your taxpayer money fraudulently to give to China. January 2022, a University of Arkansas professor, Simon Tong Ang, pleaded the same thing, making materially false and fictitious statement and representation to an FBI special agent for failing to disclose his 24 Chinese patents to the university and to the FBI when interviewed.
Next.
You know, they say China's like putting out all these patents. Well, it's pretty easy because they
them.
steal them and then just patent them in China.
Yes.
So they steal existing patents and then they patent them in China. And guess what?
This is another NIH grant, by the way, $1.75 million. Established a business in China promoting a product. He created using the NIH grant, by the way.
Yeah, so take all the
and
taxpayer
applied to
money.
Join the CCP program, the Thousand Talents program.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
There we go. Taking
There's
your
more.
taxpayer money to develop things for China. It's ridiculous. Okay.
The DOJ brought charges against 5 University of Michigan students last year. After a sergeant major encountered them at Camp Grayling in 2023, the students had cameras with them and they were discovered by the U.S. National Guard. They were conducting a massive training operation at the site with Taiwanese military members. What do you think they were doing there? U.S. and Taiwanese military cooperation. What do you think the Chinese
I like how they said,
doing
they were
there?
on vacation or something.
Yeah.
But they flew there. They weren't from that area. They flew there to go and take these photos and drone shots and what have you. And then they were like, no, we're just taking like holiday photos. But the only pictures on their devices was of the military training.
Yep.
So they were all Chinese nationals attending the University of Michigan as part of the school's joint program with a Shanghai-based university. An FBI official wrote in the complaint, noting some of them had taken photos of Camp Grayling's military installations and operations. Again, it's like, oh, we're just doing like a cultural exchange. It's cooperation. Well, okay, where are the Americans in Shanghai spying on the bases and taking photos of their military operations?
Yeah.
There's no American students doing that in China.
No.
You know, it's a one-way street with China.
Yep.
Take but never give.
Correct. Chinese nationals breached Key West military base. 2 Chinese nationals were graduated graduate students of the University of Michigan pleaded guilty in 2020 after they caught illegally entering and photographing a defense infrastructure at Naval Air Station in Key West, Florida.
University of Minnesota student Feng Yongshi, DJ Shi over here, a Chinese national studying at the University of Minnesota, was convicted in the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of Virginia last year for of unlawfully using a drone to take photos of naval bases in Norfolk, Virginia. Shi was sentenced to 6 months in prison and a year of supervised release, and the Biden administration revoked his visa in response to the charges. ICE announced in May that it deported him to China.
Next. This is all linked down below, every source, by the way.
Ji Chaochun, a Chinese national and one-time student at the Illinois Institute of Technology, was sentenced to 8 years in prison after he was convicted by a jury in 2022 of attempting to commit espionage and theft of trade secrets. Ji was found to have gathered information on defense contractors, engineers, and others as part of a broader effort by high-level Chinese intelligence officials to obtain inside access to U.S. technology advancements. All right. What is next?
This is the Select Committee on the CCP.
Very good.
This is, a fantastic organization.
Yep.
Chairman Moulinar demands transparencies from universities on national security risks posed by Chinese nationals in STEM programs. These fuel the Chinese military.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why this is so important. Right now, the current leadership in China, the Xi Jinping leadership, said that China has to lead in key industries by 2025. He said this a while ago.
Yeah.
If they don't achieve that, then the leadership fails, and that never happens in China.
Yes.
It has to be completed. So why do you think they're trying to step up so much technology transfer, theft, spies, everything you can think of? China's aggressively hacking all the American infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're hacking telecoms. They're doing everything in their power. It's nuts if you actually look into how much they're doing to the U.S. right now aggressively.
Yeah.
They're doing this because they have to finish that 2025 goal, made in China 2025. They have to finish it.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything in their power to get that done. Right?
Correct.
Is it such a crime to not revoke random visas, but to put extra scrutiny on maybe China intelligence and CCP connected students?
Yeah.
Is it not crazy if you don't do that?
Yeah, no, and I hear they're talking about taking a look at social media accounts and stuff, which I think is a smart thing, because a lot of Chinese students, they hide behind the language barrier, and they will post things on military websites, like Guangzhou, whatever those websites and social media accounts, and they'll post pictures and information about America, what they're doing there. And they just do it out in the open because nobody's reading it because of the language barrier, and they've never been under scrutiny. They'll post on their WeChat about, things that are very anti-America, that type of thing.
Well, anti-America is whatever.
Yeah,
we're talking about military secrets,
from
things that are
from that
privileged,
point of view,
Yeah.
So I think a little bit of scrutiny of social media is probably a good idea. So the Chinese Communist Party has established a well-documented systemic pipeline to embed researchers in leading U.S. institutions, providing them direct exposure to sensitive technologies with dual-use military applications, said Chairman Molinar. America's student visa system has become a Trojan horse for Beijing, providing unrestricted access to our top research institutions and posing a direct threat to our national security. If left unaddressed, this trend will continue to displace American talent, compromise research integrity, and fuel China's technological ambitions at our expense. And that's the real thing over here. We hear about this every year. I'm sure everybody hears that, we lose trillions of dollars to IP theft. How do you think we're doing that? Is that just a fact that we have to accept? Do we have to sit back and say, it's going to happen anyway, or are we going to do something about it? What do? You go after the source. Where's the stuff being stolen from? It's from these research programs. How is China getting access to this information, this IP? How are they stealing it? This is one of the biggest ways, is through these students.
They have a law, the National Intelligence Law, that makes them do it.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice.
Yep.
So why not scrutiny?
Yeah. Needs some scrutiny.
I don't get it.
Don't
be against something just because you're against something.
Yes.
If you're against Trump, right? It doesn't mean you have to be against this. If you're against Biden, it doesn't mean you have to be against his actions with China either.
Yeah.
Right? This is apolitical, guys.
It is.
This is much needed scrutiny.
Everybody wants to tiptoe around it because they're worried about being called racist.
Sure.
Here's the thing. It's not racist to want to protect your national interest and security. It's nothing about race. It's about the system. I'll tell you one thing. People from Taiwan are Chinese ethnically.
Yes.
Okay? Same thing.
They don't need scrutiny.
No.
You know why? Because their government's not trying to destroy my country.
When last did you see Taiwan stole intellectual property? It's the other way around, right?
Yes.
Taiwan's a leader in technology. Yes. So it's not about race, because Taiwanese students do come study. In fact,
South
you can
Koreans,
actually add
Japanese,
something.
Yes.
Yes.
Mongolians.
It doesn't matter. It's not about race. It's about a nation. The Chinese government who wants to steal and does steal. It's not that they want to, they do. There's so much proof. They're trying to steal. They're trying to undermine the West, not just America, Australia, Canada, the UK, everywhere. They're trying to steal everything they can because they want to grow China into a more powerful country. They want China's military to be top. They want China to be the top. And we tiptoe around this, we might hurt someone's feelings while China's saying that it's ready for war with America, while China's teaching its children, and we've shown you the footage over and over again,
to hate America.
To say that they want to kill Americans. They're
teaching that in school.
Yeah, they teach that to school. Isn't that racist?
That's
Isn't that xenophobic?
At least evil.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Come on. Like,
we come in
why?
all flavors, us Americans. But
I believe in equality for all. And I also believe that, you have to treat people in an equal manner. The way that they treat you, you have to treat them in the same manner. So if someone's nice, you're nice. If someone's bad, you got to be bad back. And China's being bad all the time. And all we're doing is tiptoeing around and being nice. I do think this is the right move.
Keep in mind, and I just want to finish this off by saying, I hope you guys understand this issue more.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that China right now is trying to divide you on this issue.
Yes.
Particularly if you're against other things that maybe the Trump administration does, right? They're going to try to leverage this.
Yep.
Because they know that they can kind of pull this, right? This can be like a divisive thing. And then they can pull the race card and you'll see them. They're going to go through the whole entourage.
Yes.
They're going to go through everything to try to get you to not support this, right?
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. It's a foreign influence campaign from the Chinese government to make sure they get to hold on to this trillions of dollars of IP theft and research theft.
Yes.
They need this or else your leader is going to be very upset.
Correct.
Right.
I just want to say, having studied in a Chinese university myself, I studied Chinese in the Shenzhen University. There were a lot of checks I had to go through to get my student visa to study there. Criminal background check. I had to, get whatever, like recommendations, check my previous what do you call it, educational record, all that stuff. There's a huge amount of checks. And obviously being South African, there were even more for me to actually go and study there. And they kept a close eye on us, you know. They had CCP members in the university, and their entire job was to keep an eye on the foreigners, you know, and our movements. What are we doing, you know? What are we saying? You know, they deported a guy who was making critical posts online about China. You know, this is just the way it is. China does that. But unfortunately, you know, the same is not done here. Well, I should say fortunately, because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
But, you know, when you're dealing with an underhanded government, you have to treat them with distrust. You can't be so open. China's a low-trust society. America's a high-trust society.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you'll get taken advantage of. It's just like a con man taking advantage of a trusting old woman.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yep.
So
anyway, let's finish this up.
Mm-hmm.
This is just an important thing from Nathan Law.
This is completely related to this because it's not just about IP theft. It's not just about stealing of secrets. It's about how the Chinese Communist Party, through other students that are connected to the Communist Party of China, police and harass and intimidate legitimate Chinese students that are just trying to learn.
Yes.
So if you've got a student here who's learning to be a nurse or something, or, you know, whatever they're doing, and they're in the university, they're studying whatever course they are, the other Chinese students that are connected to the CCP are there to intimidate them.
To commit transnational repression.
Yes. So he has a little speech we wanted to play for you here.
So I've been doing a lot of talks, especially in 2019, 2020, in the US and in the UK. And there were multiple times where Chinese students came to me and said that they could not attend my talk, could not express their support because they knew that they were being surveilled. I would say that it's not a secret. Like, even if it is, it's an open secret where I think there's a decent amount of students from China that they feel unsafe to express themselves. And that could lead to unfortunate events to their families and their visa and all sorts of things because of that. And I believe that schools are not properly handling this concern. And there are obvious links to, for example, CSSA, like Chinese Students Scholar Association and Embassy, that they're orchestrating these actions. And if the school wanted to do something, they can definitely do something.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Just
why was like the Harry Potter character sitting next to him over there? I'm just curious.
Ron Weasley?
Yeah.
The red hair guy?
Yeah.
Seen him on other stuff. I don't remember who he is.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. curbs chip design software, chemicals, and other shipments to China. It's ramping up. Key industry stuff.
Yeah.
And also engine sales. Chinese planes need the engines from the U.S. Well, they're getting cut off.
Yep. It's
Simple as
interesting
that.
that.
Simple as
But
that.
I thought China's making its own planes now.
Yeah, but apparently you need the engines. Actually, in a
okay.
lot of Chinese cars for a while, remember they're using imported engines
Yeah,
as well.
that's
They don't
right.
want to make them.
Yep.
Just want to run this one more time.
Yeah, before we
have
do our
merch.
Q&A. Yeah.
It is the China Show official merchandise store. We have 4 designs up right now. But this is the China Show logo, the classic one. Logo.
Yeah.
This is the America Bad Party one. This is Slopaganda. You can get them on front and back or just front.
Yeah, it's up
depending
to
on
you.
the price range.
We have a lot of options.
And the,
so
limited one.
you know, you can pick your fabric, you can pick your color, you can pick the size, you know, you can pick the front and back, or, you know, only front. It's up to you.
Jackets, hoodies, T-shirts, stickers.
It's a wonderful store. Please check it out. All made in America. TheChinaShow.threadless.com.
Want to support us? You do it there, or you support us at patreon.com/ADV podcast and join to watch our second show.
Yep.
Xiaoban every Monday. 2 good ways to support us.
Yep. Excellent. So, guys, thank you. It's time for us to head into our Q&A. Okay, this is Yamcha, our Q&A segment where we answer your questions and you question our answers. And let's all relax, guys, because guess what? It is actually Friday, believe it or not. Time to loosen the tie, chill
It's
out.
Friday. Ready?
And before we start, if you're watching live or you're watching on the weekend, we're going to continue. Otherwise, we've